Trump is having a very bad day as Fox News has released new polling that is abysmal. We could see mass firings within the administration here very soon as a result, because this is some of the worst polling of any president in history, and these are Fox News polls. Only 30% of Americans approve of Trump's handling of the economy. Guys, this is the first time since 2010 that Americans feel Democrats can handle the economy better than Republicans in polling. Most Americans polled by Fox News think Democrats would do a better job on most issues except for border, immigration, national security, crime, but they lead in everything else, the Democrats do. And this is the one that really gets to the heart of things. 70% of families feel the economy is getting worse under Trump, not better. So guys, this is how people feel. This is going to motivate people's voting come the midterms, and I'm sure Trump is throwing ketchup all over the walls today. Let me know what you think about this, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
This is going to fail, and then it's going to backfire. But he can't stop himself because he doesn't know what else to do, and he doesn't know how to lead. So as a result, he's just doing whatever Stephen Miller tells him. Because it was just broken in the New York Times this morning that Donald Trump is accelerating his denaturalization campaign against naturalized citizens. It was in December that he announced they were increasing the quotas for denaturalization, demanding immigration services investigate between 1 and 200 naturalized citizens for denaturalization per month, when over the past 9 years there have only been 120 such cases total, which comes to about 1 per month for those doing the math. But now, because immigration attorneys can't keep up, they're requiring civil attorneys across the country who have nothing to do with immigration to now take up denaturalization. But like I said, it's going to fail for the same reason I told you it was going to fail in December. That's because none of the underlying laws supporting naturalized citizens has changed. The only way to denaturalize a citizen is to prove that they lied or committed fraud during the naturalization process. Even committing a heinous felony after you become a citizen doesn't make you not a citizen. You just become a citizen who goes to prison like anyone else. But of course, in announcing that there are now 384 targets for denaturalization, they're not trying to materially improve anything in the United States. They're not even necessarily trying to get rid of those 384 people. What they're actually doing, encircling these 384 people and then only calling them the first wave, is sending a message to the 26 million naturalized citizens in the United States. People who went hard to the right in the 2024 election, but then as of December were saying 2-to-1 that they were better off under Biden's economy than they are under Donald Trump's. Which is why, like I said, he's not just going to fail in getting people deported, but it's also going to backfire. Because the naturalized citizens who moved hardest toward Trump in the 2024 election were of Indian, Hispanic, and Asian descent. But those same three groups have also swung hardest against Trump since 2024, while the 384 naturalized citizens are overwhelmingly from African countries and almost entirely live in blue states. Which means the voter suppression chilling effect he's going after is not going to stick, because those naturalized swing voters he lost since the last election are a lot smarter than he thinks. So despite this transparent bullshit attack on naturalized citizens, they're still going to vote, but now they're going to vote angry.
We are looking and investigating the Paramount Warner Brothers proposed merger. We've said this is not a done deal. They have not cleared regulatory scrutiny. We are looking, and there are red flags everywhere. We still have time to bring a lawsuit if that's what we decide. But we're in the investigation phase, so we haven't decided yet our formal position. But if we decide to sue, it'll be based on the law and the facts. And just like prior cases I mentioned, we believe we will be successful if that's what we decide to do. But we're still in the investigation phase for now.
What red flags have you found?
Well, there's, when you look at antitrust law, you're looking at a few things. You're looking at prices that could go higher. You're looking at choice, quality, competition. You're looking at the impact on the labor market, job loss, wages going down. And we see indications that all those things will happen, that prices will go up for consumers, that wages will go down for workers, that choice and quality and competition will all be reduced by this proposed merger. And these are very diversified companies. They operate in multiple markets, like streaming, like theatrical release, are two examples. And so we have to look at each market and see what the proposed merger's impact would be. And so far, the red flags are around the things you'd expect: price, quality, choice, competition, wages.
We have some news right now. Donald Trump posted a lengthy anti-India, anti-Chinese rant over birthright citizenship and is being slammed for posting outward racism towards Indians and Chinese residents. So this is his Truth Social. He didn't write all this. This is a transcription of a podcast by Michael Savage, but he posted it. This podcast, I'm not going to read it all to you because it's a lot, but Savage refers to India, China, and other nations as hellholes. Savage says that 2 Asian nations come to the United States to, quote, drop a baby in the 9th month, and that birthright citizenship instantly, quote, turns them into U.S. citizens. He described Indian and Chinese immigrants as, quote, gangsters with laptops who have, quote, stepped on our flag, calling them second-class citizens. The Hindu American Foundation says that they are deeply disturbed by President Trump sharing this hateful racist screed targeting Indian and Chinese Americans. Endorsing such rants as the President of the United States will further stoke hatred and endanger our communities at a time where xenophobia and racism are already at an all-time high. I'll have more updates for you soon. Spread the word. Follow for more.
These are the posts that Donald Trump put out this morning, and they are absolutely insane. At 8:45 in the morning, Donald Trump reposted a tweet from someone named Mark Thiessen, who's advocating to kill Iranians who don't want a deal. Donald Trump then posted that he's ordered the United States Navy to shoot and kill any boat, small boats though they may be, that is putting mines in the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. There is no hesitation, Donald Trump said, so it doesn't sound like the war is ending, like Trump claimed. Then Donald Trump claimed that actually the United States has total control over the Strait of Hormuz. No ship can enter or leave without the approval of the United States Navy, which is completely detached from reality. And then finally, after bragging about an apparent deal that is not real, Donald Trump posted that he actually doesn't need a deal in Iran. This guy's insane. Just crazy post after crazy post. That's what the President of the United States spent his morning doing. I'm gonna need somebody in the Trump administration to take his phone away from him because clearly he should not be controlling it himself.
Okay, you guys, pause and listen because this one is actually big, okay? Warner Brothers approving merger with Paramount. And I can already see someone panic or completely dismiss this like it's just another corporate deal, like whatever, yeah, they do what they want. Well, it's not, you guys, it's not. This is not just about movies. This is not just about streaming. That's not. This is about who gets to shape what you see, what you hear, and eventually what you believe is real. Because when media consolidates at this level, something very specific happens. You don't get obvious propaganda. You get something much more subtle and effective. You get selection. What stories get covered? What angles get repeated? What gets disappeared quietly altogether? And over time, that becomes your reality. Not because anyone forced it on you, but because everything else slowly fades out of the view altogether. That's how modern influence works. It's not just control, it's curation and selection. And here's where it gets, in my opinion, very uncomfortable because people will say, relax, it's just business, they do whatever they want, whatever, what the difference it makes for you. But business at this scale and in media is influence. When fewer companies control more platforms, news, entertainment, streaming, etc., you're not just merging assets, you're merging narratives together in one. And the more centralized that becomes, the easier it is to align messaging intentionally or not. Now listen, this doesn't mean there is some secret room where everyone's planning what you should think, even though, well, maybe there is. But that's too simple. What it means is something more subtle and honestly, in my opinion, more dangerous. It means the system itself becomes very, 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 very good at producing a consistent version of reality. And us humans, well, we trust consistency, we crave consistency, we trust repetition, we trust what we see everywhere. So no, you're not crazy for feeling like this doesn't seem okay. Because your brain is picking up on something very real. Fewer voices equals less friction and equals less questions. And that's where influence becomes invisible and very effective. Very effective. because it feels normal to us.
Donald Trump's White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, delivered a clinic yesterday. And I say that not in the positive sense, but in the negative sense. From the standpoint of negative, she tested positive for propaganda, if you understand what I'm saying. She fell for it. Trump fell for it. And she suffered a complete and total collapse on Fox News. Now, let me give you a little background of what's going on. There was a story, I guess you could call it, that went viral about 8 supposedly Iranian women who were supposedly real women who were supposedly going to be executed, and Donald Trump supposedly prevented them from getting executed. I will tell you why there are so many supposedlys on this one in a moment, but here is Caroline Leavitt talking about Donald Trump's motivation in getting involved in this.
And now that will happen thanks to President Trump because he's a humanitarian at heart. I understand this news story about the scheduled execution of these women came across the president's desk. And again, he made that direct plea and the Iranians have answered and have agreed not to execute them.
Just about everything Caroline said there is a lie, and maybe everything. Now, let me tell you what we do know. Number one, it doesn't appear to be true that the women were at risk of execution. That certainly doesn't seem to be true. There were claims that the women aren't even women. Now you might go, whoa, David, what are you talking about? You going anti-trans? No. There were claims that these were AI images of women. Now, I don't know that to be true, and I want to be really clear. Like, if they are real women, they were not going to be executed. So Trump's entire plea and claim of victory are bogus. There were some claims that it was an AI-generated image of 8 women. I'm not sure about that, but that's a claim that's been made. But the point is, Trump a humanitarian? That's not true. Trump a Christian? That's not true. Trump the healthiest president ever? That's not true. That kind of thing. And now Trump the savior of 8 women who were imminently going to be executed? Not true. Also, not lost on me, it's hard to argue that you are a humanitarian when you were just threatening to wipe out an entire civilization. A little difficult to make that claim.
So apparently more people are jumping ship from the Trump administration, and let me show you the latest. U.S. Navy Secretary John Phelan, or John Phelan, however you want to say his name, is leaving the Trump administration, and that's coming from the Pentagon. So again, the U.S. Navy Secretary is out. Now, apparently, this was according to the Wall Street Journal. I guess Phelan and Hegseth don't like each other, and there's been some wranglings over the money situation because, guys, this is big money in the military. I mean, this is the biggest money out there, right? And they want more money, which we've heard. Let me read the description of the relationship between these two. It says, Phelan's firing comes after a rocky tenure under Hegseth and Feinberg. And Feinberg's kind of the guy in charge of the money situation with the Pentagon. And, you know, you can divert money to various government contracts, which is the really big money. Remember, Elon Musk wants some of this money also. It says there, including, it's like where they're fighting over, including Phelan's close relationship with President Trump, according to 3 people familiar with internal discussions. Okay. The top Pentagon leaders were particularly annoyed last fall when Phelan pitched the idea for a modern battleship directly to Trump, bypassing Hegseth. Okay, so they're kind of upset that you're skipping protocol. Hey, what are we going to build in the military? What are the contracts? Why are you skipping over me? And you have to remember recently, Hegseth ran a commercial for Elon Musk. I wish I was making up. I showed you guys before on the channel. But this is the big money here. Now, it could be over operational things. You never know with this stuff. I'm just saying, I guess they've had arguments in the past. The Feinberg guy is also money. Phelan guy is money. I mean, they come from, private equity or whatever. This is the description of him. John Cartwright Phelan, born 1964, is an American businessman, political donor, and art collector, because of course he is, who served as United States Secretary of the Navy 2025 to 2026, which is a very, very short tenure. And I think you're going to probably see a lot more people jumping ship, being fired, however you want to say it. It's falling apart. So this is the official statement coming in from the Pentagon. Statement. Secretary of Navy John C. Phelan is departing the administration effective immediately. And like one of the first comments is, isn't this kind of weird that the Navy Secretary is leaving in the middle of a war? Which is weird, right? So what are they fighting about? Is it the money? Is it some sort of operational thing? I mean, who knows? And we'll probably get more leaks coming out. This is just coming out right now. And just 22 hours ago, he was like tweeting out this video, kind of standard stuff. The future fight isn't manned or unmanned. It's both, integrated, acting interchangeably. I don't know. Were they mad that he was putting out, a video of the kind of new technology submarines or something that they're working on or whatever? I really don't know. Because it's weird. If like you're having some sort of disagreements or you're fighting or something, you wouldn't be like just working hours ago and posting to your social media. This whole thing's strange. So my just kind of what I said, hunch on this thing is like this was very, very sudden. So, but this shows you how volatile all this stuff is. Okay, so this also comes at a time when Iran just seized 2 ships. We guys talked about this, right? Iran, again, tightens its grip on the shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. And I wonder, behind closed doors, are they arguing about, are we going to send ships into the Persian Gulf or not? Which I think would be a really big mistake and a major escalation. So, we don't know what they're fighting about. I'm just saying, like, this is something that you would have to consider. Clearing Strait of Hormuz of mines could take 6 months, Pentagon tells Congress. They could be mad about leaks, right? The Trump people always hate leaks because they don't want you to know what's going on behind closed doors. This is actually a major development, though. So basically, the war's not over, as you guys know. And even if the war ends today, it'll still take another 6 months to clear all the mines. So, obviously, what does that mean to the energy markets and what does that mean to prices and just everything? It's going to be a long time before we get back to normal, if ever. And this is what we're watching. And, it doesn't look good when your top people are out, right? And then you got these weird disputes, and it's hard to say with this stuff coming from the Trump people. This is from U.S. Central Command. Okay, let me just read what it says, and we'll go over it. It says, U.S. forces have directed 29 vessels to turn around or return to port as part of the U.S. blockade against Iran. Okay, so basically they're making the claim that the blockade is working, and we're stopping ships in their turnaround, okay? Over the past 24 hours, media reports have alleged that several commercial ships evaded the blockade, citing the Hero 2, the Hedi, and the Dorina as examples. These reports are inaccurate. Interesting. And so basically you're getting disputes of what is actually going on in the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf. That's basically what this boils down to. And I remember we just talked about the Financial Times was saying, I want to say it was either 20-some ships or 30 ships. It's something in that range have went past the blockade, but they're trying to make the case that no, that they haven't. This is a joke. I'll make sure it's clear it's a joke because, in this day and age, the crazy crap feels like it could be real, but it's a joke. Trump announces alliance with Jack Sparrow to help blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. So maybe we're replacing, the U.S. Navy Secretary with a pirate, right? That's what it feels like.
Well, first of all, Martha, only President Trump could save the lives of these 8 beautiful Iranian women who he has received direct word from the Iranian regime, or what's left of it, that their lives are going to be spared. And that comes as a result of President Trump asking them directly not to kill these young, beautiful women who certainly deserve a chance to continue living their lives freely and peacefully. And now that will happen thanks to President Trump because he's a humanitarian at heart.
Okay, so I got no problem with saving lives, but just the way that they state it, hey guys, Trump's all about the young, beautiful women. And if you like young, beautiful women like the way that Trump likes the young, beautiful women, you should support Trump. It's like, do these people hear themselves speak? But that's actually their messaging, which is crazy in itself. Also, I want to show you, so make sure this is clear. This is fake. This is coming from Iran. They put out a music video of Karen Levitt, which is actually fantastic. If you haven't seen it already, it says, yeah, Baghdad Barbie back at the podium again, smiling pretty while she covers for the pedo king. What? Carolyn lies. Youngest press secretary, biggest liar alive. Spinning for Trump while the empire dies. Baghdad Barbie, go and run and hide. Carolyn lies. Trump did nothing. What's your favorite line? Defendant Epstein files with that plastic smile. You're the pretty face for the whole pedo pipeline. 27 years old, already the queen of spin. Standing there lying with that Barbie grin, straight as open, nah. We still open the gate, random hard handover. Keep dreaming, that's fake. You see Zatoska call it a victory on TV, then cry, IRGC make Navy flee. Every briefing, another fairy tale, sell the whole world, laughs at your lies. Well, Carolyn lies. Young press secretary, biggest liar alive. Spinning for Trump while the whole empire dies. Baghdad Barbie, go run and hide, right? And you get the idea. So I could try to wrap that, but I do my best with just reading it quickly. But this is sort of how the Iran is portraying these people. And in fact, this is really effective. I'll be frank with you guys. This is like, did you guys hire Eminem or something to write your songs? That's what it feels like.
This is a battle between the pragmatists and the hardliners in Iran right now, and the president wants a unified response. And so as we await that response, there's a ceasefire with the military and kinetic strikes, but Operation Economic Fury continues, and the effective...
So that's interesting. I thought it was epic fury what they were talking about, but I guess now they're all going with economic fury. So we're changing our name of our operation mid-war. And then also, too, we lost our Secretary of Navy, who I wouldn't say necessarily is like, well, he's an art collector and a Trump fan. So I'll leave it at that. But either way, it just shows the chaos that we have.
And successful naval blockade continues as well of ships and vessels that are moving to and from Iranian ports. We are completely strangling their economy through this blockade. They're losing $500 million a day. The Karg Island is completely full. They can't move oil in and out. They can't even pay their own people as a result of this economic leverage that President Trump has inflicted over them. So
okay, so the part about Iran struggling, that's correct. So it's just, the whole thing is bad for everyone all around. Let's be frank with you guys on that. And in terms of the regular people, yes, we should care about just any regular people, not just Iran, but everywhere around the world. And the way that they always kind of frame it is like, oh, we're punishing the government or whatever. But just be aware, guys, there's people on the ground. And then also Trump threatens war crimes. So that's not a good thing, right? Attacking power plants, attacking bridges and such. And then when they try to say, oh, well, Trump does care about the young, beautiful women around, and it's like, what? It's because people are whacked out.
Satisfied with that as we await their response, and we will see. The president has not set a firm deadline to receive an Iranian proposal, unlike some of the reporting I've seen today. It will be dictated by the commander-in-chief and the president of the United States.
Clear then who was in charge in Iran and who the administration is even negotiating with?
Well, we obviously know who we're negotiating with because our negotiating team has sat down with those individuals in person. But obviously there's a lot of internal fraction and internal division, which again just proves the effectiveness of Operation Epic Fury in the first place.
Okay, so she's trying to make the case that they're divided in Iran and therefore it's good that we bombed everything. So I think that probably is true with the different factions in Iran. We've talked about this stuff before. Who speaks for all of Iran? And the thing is, though, the point is like, who are you talking to? Oh, well, we know who we're talking to, and we're trying to do business with them, etc. But you're bombing killer when you're sending everything into chaos, and then you yourselves are also in chaos. Now, if you come from the wrong side, depending on which outlet you look at, some might say, well, no, you're strengthening the resolve to unify against the foreign invaders like the U.S. or Israel. There's different ways you could read that.
Caroline, two questions. What's the ultimate goal of this blockade? Is it indefinite? And is the ceasefire that's in place right now also indefinite?
Look, again, I'm not going to set a timetable for the president. He has not done that, and I won't. I know there's been some anonymous sourced reporting that there was maybe a 3 to 5 day deadline. That is not true. The president has not set a deadline himself. Ultimately, he will dictate the timetable. And again, he is satisfied with the naval blockade.
So what is the timetable? I don't think they know. They're just playing it day by day, in my opinion. So then they're saying there's a report out there is 3 to 5 days, but